Welcome, everyone. We're on the page, and I'm your host, Jen Mulvihill. This episode's guest is an amazing author and a poet. You might know her from the Gifted Trilogy and many other short stories that she's written, as well as novels. Please welcome Leanne Story. Hi, Leanne.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so glad to be here on this almost dark and stormy night. We're getting there.
Yeah, I think we are. It's spreading across the nation. So, how has life been treating you this past year? It's been crazy. So, everybody wants to know how you're doing.
Excuse the Westminster chime in my in the background. Life has been pretty good. You know, the quarantine, everything though with the pandemic made I think kind of took a toll on everything. I've had a learning curve as far as like teleworking for the day job. And but things seem to be coming back online, so to speak. And I'm writing again, and I'm excited about it. So I'm glad to be here. This was good timing.
Oh, good. That's fantastic. I'm glad you're writing again. It's been kind of an issue with a lot of authors that even in quarantine, you're thinking, oh, I'm going to write all this stuff. And then you're like, oh, it's quarantine. I can't go anywhere.
I think for me, some of the issue was with telework. You know, I'm already working on the computer all day from home. And then it got to be, I don't know, redundant or something. It's brain freeze. Sort of, you know, wires got crossed wrong or something.
Yeah, I get that. So let's find out a little bit more about Leanne's story. I'm going to go back to your childhood and ask you what books or movies maybe inspired you as a child or that you remember or really loved.
Oh, man. I've always loved movies and books, but when I think back, the earliest thing I can remember are books. And I remember my grandmother, my mother's mother, would get the little golden books, the Three Little Pigs and Goldilocks and Three Bears. And I distinctly remember being read those books and looking through the pages. And as I got older, my parents had Encyclopedia Britannica, and I would pull those down and look at those. And as I started, you know, adolescence, it became Irma Bombeck, Judy Blume. And then I hit about 12 or 13 and read Stephen King. I was already addicted to Edgar Allan Poe. So, and I already knew I was a little weird then. So, so I started reading just everything, but Stephen King was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
So, as it was for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, definitely. I read a lot of Stephen King myself. I like his old stuff is my favorite.
Me too.
Was there any book that caused an emotion, a book that made you cry or something that you can recall that just like impacted you? You're like, oh
wow. I think the first thing, I think I have such a rich imagination, you know, rich imagination life in my head. I don't know, fantasy life. There we go. I'm an author. Words should come easy, but they don't always. Rich fantasy life. And so I think a lot of emotions, I just sort of just felt them and just moved on. But I remember when I read Premature Burial, Poe's Premature Burial, and that was the first time I was really frightened. Really, really frightened. And I remember I was reading it in a closet at night, which didn't help. And then so I think I got the idea that about how emotional things could get. I remember when I got older, I read The Good Earth by Pearl S. Buck. And I remember crying when I read that one. Okay. And that was in my early 20s. So I don't know why. I've always loved books. I don't know why they didn't affect me as deeply. Maybe life experience made me understand things a little better. So,
well, when did you realize that words had power and that you could use these superpowers?
that answer would have many facets. One, well, the interview you did with Cheryl Lynn was my father's a preacher too. He will be 79 this month. He's still a preacher.
Okay.
And so I think I learned early with that. And then I think Irma Bombeck, Laughing Out Loud, just at her work, I really affected me that you could be that funny. And, eventually I went on to write columns. I wrote a humor column for years. So, and I know that was a direct influence. Plus my family has just this huge sense of humor. And, but there were two things that were pivotal. One was, we'll go back to Stephen King. That was the first time that I read an author that put me right there. It's like I literally stepped through the portal and was in that place where he wanted you to be for his stories. And then when I tried to write my first book when I was 12. It was terrible, of course. I'm not saying I've improved a lot, but I have improved. So, but it was, you know what it's like when you're the power. I know, it's that just, it is a superpower and you can feel it. And when I wrote the humor column, people, I would laugh out loud writing some of them, and people would they would tell me how funny they were, how touching they were. So I think it was writing that really unleashed my understanding of the power of words.
And when did that start? I mean, you said 12, you were 12 when you wrote your first story.
Yeah.
But after that, when did you get into serious writing, I guess I should say?
Well, I remember junior high, I wrote a story that the teacher read out loud. I don't even remember the story, but I remember that. But I always kind of tinkered with poetry. And I had a friend who, she told me that I had read some poems to her and a couple of my short stories that I had kept to myself. I mean, I was just very self-conscious about my work. And, I still am to a certain extent, but obviously I got over some of that. And she told me she was going to beat me senseless if I didn't do something with my work. So that's when I think I'm a late bloomer, really. I was mid-20s before I really started trying to do anything. Had my first short story published in like 2003. So, I mean, it wasn't, and then it just sort of escalated from there. Once I got my work out there, people liked it. So that was, exciting and addicting.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I know that feeling. Most definitely. And you write poetry. You wrote a poetry book with your husband?
Yes, I did. I have a book with him. And we're actually working on a second one now called Something to Believe in. We wrote one called His and Hers.
Yes.
And my husband is Keith W. Sikora, who is an award-winning fantasy poet. And we had never thought about doing that before, but then, so we just took some of our best work and put it together. But this one that we're working on now, Something to Believe in, is one that we're creating work just for that collection. And it's sort of about belief in greater things. So.
Oh, that sounds awesome. That's very positive.
I think it is.
Everybody needs right now. We do have quite a plethora of stuff out right now. We'd like to see. Can we show these books?
Sure.
We'll pop those up. There we go.
There they are.
Yeah, and actually, that's not even all of them, is it?
It's not.
You have quite a few, and you have the Gifted Trilogy. Are you writing any other trilogies or series right now?
I am. Right now, I'm working on the second installment of the Witch of Hadler's Woods series. It's called Seduction of the Witch. The Witch of Hadler's Woods, I think, was in that lineup there. And so that'll be the second installment that people have waited a long time for, but the pandemic sort of went that. But I actually hope to have that one ready before the end of the summer. And I'm working on now this is just a single book, Seasons of Maya, with another writer. It's actually a fictionalized version of her life, but Dr. Zoe Jameson Shanks, who's an amazing person. It's about a young girl who overcomes childhood trauma to have an extraordinary life. And so I'm excited about that. But I think a lot of the fans of The Witch of Hadler's Woods will be happy to know that they're finally going to get the next installment. So
finally going to get that out there, huh?
Yes. And it's such a fun story. It is. And you know me, it's going to be weird. It's going to have romance. It's going to have battles and all sorts of cool stuff. Magic.
Yeah. The fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
You do a lot of research?
I did some, but I have found in my research that a lot of the magics, some of the things are traditional if you're looking at certain potions and oils and herbs and things, but some of it was very personal, like how like a lot of witches would write their own spells, and they would have to, and the success or the failure of that spell would depend on how well it was written. And there's, like they say with genies, be careful what you say, because you might you never know how it's going to come out.
Yeah, I get that, because I have a witch in one of my stories too, and I might want to be very careful about the ceremonies and the spells that she wrote.
I know what you mean.
So what are you working on right now? You said you have another trilogy coming out, the sequel. Is it the second or third book?
It's the second, and it's going to be a trilogy, so it's the second of 3. And then I do have some stuff that'll be out there just to maybe tantalize people a little bit. I do have I'm actually going to be doing an offshoot of the Gifted Trilogy has been much more popular than I would have. I always thought it was an amazing story, but people have been touched by this story and the characters, and don't want to let go of them. And so somebody had asked me if I was going to do any more with that trilogy, and I said it depended on the response. And so because of the response, I'm going to be doing a spin-off called Shadow People that are yeah. And then I have a fantasy project I want to do, a series in the future called Disciples of the Realm. But minor things, I had 2019, I was a Darrell Award finalist for my short story Family Circle, which was in End of the World Potluck, and which I'm very proud to had to say that out there. But I'm actually, I think the time is up where I'm going to actually put that one at least on Kindle, that short story, with a link to the book, where if people really like that story, then they'll love the rest of the book too. So many wonderful writers are in that collection.
Oh yeah, I saw that anthology. It's chock full of great authors in there.
It's a shared world thing too. So I had never been a part of anything like that before, and it was an extraordinary experience, and it's an incredible work.
I know, like myself, you go to conventions, and after you do all your panels and everything, you go out to dinner, and you're all sitting at the table, and people are like, "What if we wrote this?"
Yeah.
And then the anthology is born.
Yeah, you get an informal brain trust going there.
Yeah. It's awesome.
And it just grows from there. And those are the best kind, it's almost like a writer's group, but you're really going to do something with it. So, some people do in a writer's group, some people don't. This one, just went somewhere. It was really cool.
That is so awesome. Well, speaking of writing in that aspect, do you have, let's just say, what is your ideal writing space that you would like to have if you don't have it already?
I am working on my writing space. I mean, it's already got an Edgar Allan Poe action figure.
Oh,
try not to be jealous. I wish if we didn't have the storm, I was actually going to set up in there where I'd be talking to you from there, and I could show you Edgar. But since I'm here in this other, and it's for safety reasons in this house instead. Yeah. So, but anyway, surrounded with books, art, a lot of which I've gotten at conventions, fantasy art, things that inspire me, things that I find funny on the walls, nothing that would be anything like the decor of the rest of my house. So I've got funky lights and different colors and candles and incense and cool incense burners, just very artsy fartsy, I guess.
Well, did you ever watch the Ray Bradbury Theater?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so is anything like that? Remember how they walk up to the office and the door opens and it's this huge, well, it's not huge, but it's this room with eclectic things everywhere.
Yeah, that is perfect. Perfect space. That would be, of course, I have very small space to work with. So I think if there was any fantasy about it that I would want to change, it would be probably to make it bigger. Yeah. So that's always going to be good.
We just need a TARDIS, right? You're on the inside. Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's cool. I kind of have a similar kind of room myself. So I get that. And it's nice to have all that inspiration around you. Who is your biggest inspiration? Besides Poe.
I think, that's a good question. I think once I got hooked on Stephen King, I had a lot of authors that have inspired me. Anne Rice, Dean Koontz. Oh man, there's just so many now that really, just work of authors that I've met at Mid-South-Con for, that those would be great examples of people just from the things that they say. You just never know what you're going to get inspired from. But yeah, those authors inspire me. I like to hear about, Clive Barker. I can't leave that one out, though I don't go as extreme as, I did briefly under another name go that extreme, but he's, not everybody wants to read something that extreme, but he's well written. I mean, it's so well written. He's such an incredible writer, and I both love and hate him for it.
Don't we all?
Yes. Yeah, I resent the heck out of him for that, and I'm not ashamed. So, but yeah, I'm inspired by a lot of things, writers, and you never know what's going to hook your attention. It could be a song or a phrase that somebody said.
Something in the air, and you just grab it and you run with it, because if you don't, somebody else will, I'm sure, right?
Right, exactly.
Well, so what is your writing kryptonite? What kind of stops you from getting things done?
Oh my goodness. This world is full of distractions, terrible distractions. Facebook being one of them. Social media, television, fatigue. I think sometimes just fatigue. I think with the pandemic, I think that was a lot of it. I think people, they couldn't get out. They couldn't get stimulated with other people. That takes a lot of mental acuity, to be able to hold a conversation and use your words, as I have trouble with every once in a while. I'm better on paper than I am in person. So, but yeah. So I don't even know where I was going with that. I'm not going to lie. I just trailed off because I started thinking about writing, and so distraction.
You got an idea.
Perfect. I did that on purpose. That was an example of what it's like to be distracted.
Right.
That's what that was. So what I just did, don't do that.
Yeah.
Stay focused.
Well, I got a question. How, like, when you're writing, do you write more than one book? Like, you write a little on this one and then you go and write a little on that one, or are you just centered on the one?
Right. Funny you should say that right now, because right now, and I'm writing 2 completely different types of book. I'm working on Seasons of Maya and Seduction of the Witch, and they couldn't be, I mean, one is a very faith-based type story, and the other one's about fantasy witches and magic and all that kind of stuff. So two different types of books, but it's kind of working for me. But normally I work on just one book at a time. One book, because, and it's not that it's a matter of principle, it's a matter of, I get obsessed. You know, I get obsessed, and all I can do is think, eat, sleep. Every spare moment I'm thinking about what these characters are doing. And I don't do extensive outlining either. So like with the trilogy, I start off with one book and I finish that, and then it just, I don't know, these stories expand on me, and then I move to the next one, and I'm as excited to find out what's going to happen as everyone else is. So
you get kind of immersed in it, and you don't want to stop because you want to see what's going to happen with the characters.
Yeah. And I like that world. You know, I step into that world. Some people are so good at being professional about it. And I can't lie and say that I am. I'm not professional about it. I get into that world. I mean, when it's going on, it's like the rest of the world falls away and it's real to me. So,
well, I think that makes for a good writer, though, because you're so immersed in it that it's real.
Yeah, I think so. You get emotionally invested too.
Oh goodness, yes.
I think who was it? Was it John Mangus? You were talking about how you get emotional. You've even listen, I've cried at more than one storyline. There were some scenes that were very difficult, and that I ended up crying like a baby when I was finished writing them.
And it's a surprise, isn't it? You're just like, just into the story, typing away, and all of a sudden you're like, what am I doing? What's,
the power of words. That's what we were just talking about. The power of words.
Yes. It even affects the writer who is writing the words. It's an amazing feeling. So do you have words of wisdom for other writers?
So keep working on it was my advice. I think the hardest thing for me when I got started, you asked when I really got serious. Before I did that, I did try a little. I wasn't serious enough because I didn't finish anything. I started a lot of projects and never finished anything until the first story, The Gifted. Adversaries and Healers is the name of the first one. And that was that changed everything. Finishing my first book changed everything. Then I knew I could finish something, but finish that work and keep working on it. Even now I want to go back and re-edit for typos and grammatical errors and stuff I've already got out. And and as I get better, make more money at it, I'll hire better editors. I mean, that's just, listen, I'm real, y'all. I mean, I'm just getting real, but that's part of improving my craft. I want to improve, not just editing that, but improve as a writer. And if you're serious, and so many people walk away discouraged, if you're serious about your craft, you're gonna keep working at it. You're going to keep writing, and you're going to keep trying to improve.
And those are great words of wisdom. So, okay. So we're going to take a step back from that.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask you my infamous question. I'm going to set you up here, though. There's a storm coming.
Oh, it's so realistic.
And you're trapped in your house, and you can't go anywhere for 3 days. What are your 3 comfort things, aside from, the regular stuff that you need, like food and shelter and all that? What are the 3 comfort things that you want or need?
I would have to have my notebooks, not some blank notebooks, a lot of pens, and music. And if one of those wasn't available, my blankie.
Well,
My mother made me a blankie, literally, and it has a little label, made with love by mom, when I was 40. So
Aw.
I've had it, maybe I was 38. Either way, I've had it a long time. So, and
So it's kind of like your wubby, huh?
it's my wubby. It
Yeah.
is my wubby. So, but I don't carry it around all the time. They won't let me at the government office do that.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
tried.
Can't keep that wubby with you. I have my grandfather's flannel shirt that when I'm like seriously into my writing, I wear my grandfather's flannel shirt. It just brings me closer to him, I guess. I don't know, because he was a storyteller.
Oh,
So it's kind of my wubby, right?
we did it. We're in sync. Yeah.
So where can we find all your stuff? Let everybody know where we can find your books and
Well, right now, I did have them on other platforms, but I did the best on Amazon. So you can go to Amazon.com, or you can find the links on my Facebook page. You can find me on my Facebook page. Feel free to send me a message on my Facebook page, and I'll be happy to send you links to the work if you have trouble, because a lot of people put in LA Story and get the movie with Steve Martin.
yeah.
I think I mentioned once that that's my goal in life, to be more famous than that movie. One day to have me pop up instead of that. But yeah, you can find me on Facebook, but most of my work you're going to find on Amazon. So Amazon.com.
And that'll lead to your husband's book too, what he has written with you. Does he have other published art books there too?
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Keith W. Sikora, Sikora. You look up Keith Sikora and you'll find his books for sure. He's got some wonderful books. And like I said, he's award winning. He knows what he's doing. So he's good at it.
What a great team you guys make.
We have a good time with it.
That is awesome. Does he ever go to the conventions with you? I don't know if we've met him or.
Yes, he does. And he's usually wandering in the dealer room, you know.
Oh, yes.
Look, I've got a sword. I've got new bubbleheads.
I usually get a lot of books and I have to smuggle them in with my books because my husband says I have too many books. So
there's no such thing. I end up with lots more. I bring an extra bag just for books, and I think I even grabbed one. I got one of yours, I think, and got you sign it and everything. And yeah.
We were like trading books at one point.
Yeah, I think we were sitting next to each other. Oh, the days. I hope we get to do that again.
I know. I miss people. I really do.
Me too. I really do.
And I miss seeing you in person. You look amazing though. So
well, thank you. Thank you. You look great too. I was just thinking how pretty you look.
Oh, thank you.
We're girls. We can do that.
Yay. All right. Well, I am getting the cue that it's time to wrap it up. So Leanne, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. And we obviously had a lot of fun. If we missed anything, you can come back another time and we can chit chat some more.
It's been an honor. Thank you guys for having me. Really, you just made my day. It was wonderful.
Well, I'm glad we could do that. And you made my day by being here. It makes me feel good to talk to other writers. But until next time, everyone, keep reading, keep writing, and we'll be able to change the world one story at a time. Thank you.